What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the All We Do Is Talk podcast. I'm here with my boys, Moody and Isaiah. How we doing?
What's up?
Doing well, Eric. Doing well. How are you?
Not too shabby, boys. Today we're going over, I would say, the second most important position, the left side at least. We're going over offensive tackles today. We'll be talking about some big boys.
Well, nowadays, elite guys line up on both sides of the tackle. So it doesn't really matter. Left tackle, right tackle, you really need both of them to be elite nowadays.
I agree.
I agree.
We giving out top 10s today? Top 10?
Top 10.
All right.
So first, I'm going to hit you out with a couple of my honorable mentions. I got Garrett Bowles. Finally had that breakout season and realized his first-round potential. I also got Dwayne Brown. From Seattle. Looking for that contract. I don't know if he's an elite tackle, but he's a solid guy who's been doing it for a very long time. Seattle's probably got to keep him because left tackle, good, even above average left tackles are hard to find. I've got Taylor Mullen, who just got his bag in Carolina. Great player, great anchor, good at great mauling left tackle, good enough in pass protection. Above average in pass protection. And I also got Colin Miller, late bloomer as well, even though he's got a couple good seasons under his name now. And lastly, I've got Lyle Collins from the Dallas Cowboys. Had that one breakout season a couple years ago, got his bag. Was missing in action last year, but still a very solid right tackle.
Yeah. What about Mike McGlinchey?
He's a good player.
Mike McGlinchey, he'll be part of my honorable mentions list. I think he's really, really good.
He'd be in my top 20 for sure.
Yeah, Trent Williams has definitely probably made his life easier. He got the transition, Joe Staley right to Trent Williams. That's really lucky for San Francisco. But like you said, you had some good ones out there. Colton Miller, Garrett Bowles. Both of those guys really have found their way so far. I think the two young guys I think I like the most on the future top 10 list and the honorable mentions, Mekhi Becton and Jedrick Wills. I think those guys are destined to be on this list at the end of the season. Those are some really, really good football players.
Hey, watch out for my guy, Andrew Thomas. He's been looking great in camp. Looked great in that first preseason game.
Yeah, because y'all don't have any edge rushers.
And it looked good in the first preseason game as well, but the Jets don't have edge rushers either. Just to date it, these lists after this point are coming out as the top 100 lists are dropping. So everything prior to this offensive tackle list and everything that comes after it was done before that last official pre-season ranking list came out. So all of that is with none of the judgment of those lists involved, even though I think some of the things that have come out in that list have made my prior list look even stronger. But I digress. I guess we'll start with 10 through 5. You can go ahead and start.
All right. At number 10, I got Lyle Collins. I think Lyle Collins burst on the scene in 2019, and he was a top 5 graded tackle basically the entire year. He got a fat new contract, and then he was fat, out of shape, delayed getting surgery on his hip, and he was basically an opt-out last year, missed all of last season. But he's come back in the best shape he's been in since he's been in college. I think it's like 310 after playing in like 320 during his early years of tackle and guard. And I think now that he's healthy and ready to go, he's going to be helping anchor the other side of the Cowboys offensive line. And he's a stud when he's out there. He can block the elite of the elite when he's at his best. At number 9, I got Tristan Wirfs from Tampa Bay. He's round 1 pick, immediate Super Bowl champion. Could easily be going back-to-back this year. And he's a big reason why he helped anchor and solidify a Tampa Bay offensive line that was a disaster with Jameis Winston. But now that Tom Brady's shown up and they've added a few more pieces, they've really done a good job turning that offensive line around. And Tristan Wirfs was the solidifying piece to turn that unit into a top 10 unit in the NFL. At number 8, I got Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson's been one of the best tackles in this league for a very long time. The injuries have started to slow him down a little bit, which is why he's no longer probably the top 3, top 5 tackle that he's been throughout his career. But when he's out there, he's still very, very productive. And Philadelphia's record when he plays versus when he doesn't play is drastic. So you could tell his impact is very much felt throughout that organization. At number 7, I got Laramie Tunsil. He's a very good left tackle. I don't think he's quite one of the elites, but he's one of those guys who he's the one of the only good bright spots on the Houston Texans team. He's one of their like 4 good players, and he's been a very, very good, solid young tackle who's got a chance to two good players, and he's got a chance to really he can be a good, solid foundational piece as Houston tries to rebuild the worst roster in the NFL. And at number 6, I got Ryan Ramshack. He's probably him playing right tackle instead of left is probably the only reason why he doesn't get to be higher on this list. But he's an elite football player. He's been a plug-and-play Pro Bowl, All-Pro caliber tackle since he stepped onto the field. He just got his $100 million extension, and you expect him to be one of the best tackles in the NFL for the next 10 years.
So that was 10 through 6 for you?
Yeah.
All right, so at 10, I've got Lane Johnson. I think probably now that Mitchell Schwartz is not effective, probably expected to be the player that he was prior to his injury. Lane Johnson has his claim to being the best right tackle in the NFL, but we all know he has his injury problems. When he's healthy, he's a Mullen in the run game, great pass protector. Get to watch him probably the most because he's a division rival player. Was amazing in that Super Bowl run. Probably was the anchor with him and Kelsey, who we'll see on our interior line, that made that Philadelphia Eagles offensive line so good. And when he plays, like you said, Philadelphia is just a different team. So hopefully he can stay healthy and continue to be the dominant player he is. Getting a little old. Also, injuries are mounting, but still a great player.
Still a very good tackle.
At number 9, I have Ty Smith, another division rival tackle. Just like Lane Johnson, Ty Smith probably from 2013 to 2018 was the best left tackle in the league, on the best contract in the league.
Now he's on the best contract.
Now he's on a great contract, but he's missing so much time. Injuries have caught up to him as well, and I just don't know between him and Lane Johnson. I just don't know how much longer we haven't seen dominant, consistent play out of them. But Ty Smith is a better pass protector and run blocker, but still above average to elite at both. And seeing him a lot too. Just the injuries have really slowed him down and kept him off the field. At number 8, I have another guy who suffered a major injury. I have Ronnie Stanley from the Baltimore Ravens. Before his injury, I would say he was probably making his claim to being in that David Baciari, Trent Williams class of best left tackle in the game. Great run blocker, as you see that Ravens offensive line is good at run blocking, solid in pass protection. Not much more to say about him.
Notre Dame, the offensive line factory. They just put out all pros every single time.
At number 7, I have the guy who was my number 1 tackle in the draft class from last year, which was 2020, Mr. Tristan Wirfs. Now, I will say I think he's elite, probably the best run blocking tackle in the league. His athleticism has been seen as from that combine performance, great strength, power, only gave up 1 sack all season long. Now, I will say Tampa Bay's got some really good interior guys.
And Tom Brady
probably makes him look a lot better than he used to. Landon and then Smith on the other side. But I always believe that he was that type of player, and he kind of showed it last year. Plug and play. Probably the first guy since Quentin Nelson to be the plug and play, all-pro type of player in his rookie year. And at number 6, I have a guy who was all-pro last year, who I've always been a fan of, and he's recovered well from his ACL injury a few years ago. Got a new contract in Cleveland, Mr. Jack Conklin, who I think is also in the debate for best right tackle. I think it's a 3-horse race with another guy coming ahead, and like we said, Lane Johnson. What more to say about Mr. Jack Conklin other than he's an elite pass protector, and as you see, that Cleveland Browns offensive line is so good running, and running behind him is one of the reasons why. All of these guys are pretty, as you see, either you have an elite above average tackle or you have a bad one. And so not really much more to say about Jack Conklin other than he stays off the highlight film of pass rushers and run stoppers. Great player.
Man, I actually forgot about Jake Conklin when I was putting my list together. I can't even lie about that. He bounced back definitely from the injuries and some downtimes in Tennessee, and I don't know, but it's really weird that Tennessee just let him walk out the door.
I think, unfortunately, they paid the quarterback, the running back,
Yeah, that's where you see where the problem is.
I mean, the running back came back and had a 2,000-yard season, so behind worst offensive line.
To get knocked out in the wild card round. Maybe an extra tackle could have helped Derrick Henry average more than 2 yards a carry in a playoff game. But I digress. But yeah, he definitely belongs in the top 10. I'll make him an honorable mention for now, but he definitely deserves to be on this list. I think the biggest difference between us, I think you dropped the injured guys down a little bit more. I kind of went based off of when those guys play, who do I think is the better player. But I can understand putting Stanley and Ty Smith down because of the injury and Lane Johnson down because of the injury situations. But we see that we got a lot of the same names. At number 5, I got Ronnie Stanley. Ronnie Stanley looked like the best left tackle in the league before he broke his leg last year, and that just sucks because you always have to be worried about when offensive linemen suffer those like major injuries and how they come back from that with the athleticism, because he was a special athlete as far in space as ability as a pass protector, and he's more than good enough in the run game. Baltimore suffered a lot. Luckily, they have Orlando Brown Jr., but even still, the Ronnie Stanley injury was a big blow for them. It definitely hurt them when they needed to run the ball against a good defense, like when they played Buffalo in the playoffs last year. But Ronnie Stanley, when he's healthy, he's an absolute stud. He's one of those guys who, when he's out there, he's better than the guy who's lined up in front of him 99% of the time. At number 4, I got Tyron Smith. When Tyron Smith plays, he doesn't get beat basically by anybody. It doesn't matter the type of pass rusher, how elite he is. Watching Tyron Smith get beat is like seeing a double rainbow, basically. Now the injuries have definitely taken a toll on him. He's definitely not the guy he was in 2016 when I believe he was like leaps and bounds ahead of anybody else in his position. But with him being now 30 years old, year 11 in the league, and he's come off a major neck surgery, you got to bump him down a little bit. But if he's healthy and when he plays, he's a force multiplier on an offensive line. At number 3, I got Taran Armstead. He's been one of the better left tackles in the league for a while now, but he seems to have gotten better as he's gotten older and as he's gotten more experience. Now we'll see, because Drew Brees was so good at manipulating the pocket, so good at getting the ball out quickly. We'll see when he has quarterbacks like Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston who are going to hold the ball longer to try to extend plays, to try to make plays down the field. We'll really see how good the Saints tackles are, but I think he's a stud. He's consistent. When he's out there, like he anchors that line. He gets good movement in the running game. The Saints have had one of the best run blocking offensive lines in the NFL over the past 5 years, and Taran Armstead's been a big part of that. At number 2, I got Trent Williams. Trent Williams has probably been the most talented tackle in the league since he came in 2010. Now, unfortunately, he was stuck in Washington and apparently dealing with cancer, and Washington didn't even want to deal with that because that's how that organization.
Hey, they told him to go get that fixed. You seen the message? They said, go get that fixed. He tried to use that to get out of to make them look bad. I'm not going to let you get off the hook for that, Trent Williams. He tried to make them look really bad.
I think it's more likely that the Washington organization was fumbling than Trent Williams was not going to get treated for his cancer. That's all I'm going to say. I feel like Trent Williams was more likely to take his cancer seriously than the Washington football team. But now that he's out of that situation, you saw he stepped right into San Francisco. Elite, unbelievable talent. He's still in his prime. He got the biggest left tackle contract in NFL history. Something San Francisco absolutely had to give to him. And he looks like he's got another 5 years of elite play, if not more, under his belt. And San Francisco got a steal in managing to replace Joe Staley with Trent Williams right away. That's as good as it gets.
Third and a fourth round pick or something like that?
That's
day 2 picks?
That's as good as it gets. It's hard. Trent Williams is rare, and to just be able to just plug that guy into your offensive line, you don't have to worry about the position now. Now he does deal with injuries, which is probably why he's number 2, because he might be a better player overall than the guy having number 1. And even though the guy number 1 has his own injury problems, but Trent Williams just has to show more consistency being healthy before. But he's 1B, honestly. And number 1 overall, obviously, David Baciari. He's been the best pass protecting left tackle the last 8-9 years, basically. Just so good. Aaron Rodgers and his ability to stand in the pocket, hold the ball, scramble, make plays. Mostly because David Baciari is so good at protecting for so long. He's good in the running game. I wouldn't call him this elite run blocker like some of the other guys on this list, but his ability as a pass protector is just so above basically anybody else in his position. And there are a lot of elite pass protecting left tackles in the league, but David Baciari stands above the rest. And being a great pass protector is the most important thing for a left tackle to be, and he's the best at it, so he's the best tackle in football.
So, okay, that's your top 5. All right, so I got the similar names. So everybody we've already talked about, so I'll just breeze through, finishing it up. At 5, I've got Taran Armstead, elite left tackle, great run blocker, great above that. I think he's a better run blocker than pass protector. At this point, all these guys are good at both. I think he's a better mauling left tackle than a pass protecting left tackle. But like you said, we'll see how he plays when Drew Brees is out of that system. But he did play good with Teddy Bridgewater, stepped in a couple years ago when Taysom Hill stepped in a couple years ago. They're going to be good in run blocking. Also, I believe he's got help from a guy in front of that I have on my number 4. I got Ryan Ramshack, the right tackle. I think he's the better tackle of the duo, and I believe the Saints will keep him going forward, and they will move on from Tyron Armstead.
Well, they already gave Ramshack $100 million, so
it's easy to predict that now. But yeah, but I don't think they'll be keeping both. So that's what I'm kind of going on the limb and saying. I believe they'll go with Ramshack. I think he's the premier right now. He's got to be the premier right tackle. He's the healthiest. He's the youngest. He's put on the best film. He's developed nicely. He's been in a good system, so we'll have to see if he stays at that level of play with a Jameis Winston level quarterback, a Taysom Hill level quarterback, without a Michael Thomas for half the season maybe. So we'll see when defenses are throwing them different looks at pressure them more often, because both of these guys are my 4 and 5. They did struggle in that game against the Minnesota Vikings that we saw them lost. So
Everson Griffin killed Taran Armstead that day. Can't lie about that.
And yeah, Danielle Hunter was whooping up on Ramshack. So, at number 3, I have a guy who I believe is an elite tackle. I think he's the 3rd best left tackle in the league. I got Laramie Tunsil, Mr. Gas Mask himself. Unfortunately for him, he's on a team where there's only 2 good players, him and the quarterback. And it goes to show you could have top 5 players at the quarterback and left tackle and still be one of the worst teams in the league if you have nothing else around him except a couple of decent above average receivers. He's a better pass protector than run blocker, in my opinion. I thought he was I think he's proven his value for the trade that Bill O'Brien made for him. It's just a shame that they made so many other bad trades around that trade that hurt the team even more. So I don't really know.
He just got a fat paycheck too.
I don't know if his value will be maximized on that team, but I think his next chapter will determine where he's going with his future. I think he's got lots of good years ahead of him, but maybe playing for the Texans on a terrible team for 2 years could turn him into a bad asset. But that's left to be seen. And number 2, I've got another former NFC East tackle. I've got Trent Williams, who I think, if it wasn't for all the health concerns, and Trent Williams, we know he's got them all, he would be the best left tackle in the game. He's been, in my opinion, with Tyron Smith, they were the 2 guys who were fighting for best left tackle. I think Trent Williams is a better athlete. They're both monster athletes, but I think Trent Williams is held up a little bit better somehow, even though his injuries are still going to add up. Not much more to say to Trent Williams other than he's the best run blocking left tackle we've seen in this generation. And his contract says it. He was the highest paid offensive lineman of all time, Trent Williams. Shame that Washington missed out on having him, because having him on that line in Washington, now that they're getting things turned around, would have made him even more scarier. And at number 1, David Baciari, he's the best pass protecting left tackle of his generation, because I think he's a little bit after Ty Smith and Trent Williams for this last 5 years. I think he makes Aaron Rodgers look better. He allows Aaron Rodgers to hold the ball longer, knowing that he has that left side packed up, and he's a fun guy to watch chugging beers at the Bucs games. So we've got David Baciari. I think he's the quintessential offensive lineman that you want, along with the guy that I'll have at the top of my interior offensive lineman list. But that's my list, so I'll just round it out one more time. At 1, I got David Baciari. At 2, I got Trent Williams. At 3, I got Laramie Tunsil. At 4, I have Ryan Ramshack, followed by his teammate at 5, Mr. Taran Armstead. 6, I have Jack Conklin. 7, I have Tristan Wirfs. Number 8, I have Ronnie Stanley. Number 9, I have Ty Smith. And number 10, I have Lane Johnson.
All right, I'll just run through my list one more time. And we and him at the same number 1 and 2 in Baciari and Trent Williams. That seemed to be pretty easy. At number 3, I had Taran Armstead. 4, I had Tyron Smith. 5, I had Ronnie Stanley. 6, I had Ramshack. 7, I had Laramie Tunsil. 8, Lane Johnson. 9, Tristan Wirfs. 10, Lyle Collins. I think you and I both basically had the same names, either in honorable mentions or in the top 10.
What I found from this is like in the top 16 tackles in the league, they're the guys.
That's where they are. And then after that, trash.
A drop to guys who are just starters, and then, replacement level tackles.
But don't forget to like and subscribe. Share your top 10 list with us.
Interact.
Let us know what we got right. Let us know what we got wrong. And we look forward to talking to you guys next time.